Welcome to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. I have a few more videos up on the page today. One on Jason Garrett firing and my thoughts on that. A couple others as well. I'm going to have a lot of videos out today, so I hope you guys come back. But in this video, I'm going to talk about the supreme pass rusher in Chase Young. He is officially declared for the NFL draft, and to me, this was always a foregone conclusion. I know that people said, about a month ago that he came out and told the media that he may not be coming out, and that put doubts in people's heads, or he definitively said he wasn't coming out. It was nonsense. It's the same thing with the Matt Rule story. It's all nonsense. It's propaganda by people like ESPN, people on Fox Sports trying to sell stories, things like that. It was reported by TMZ, and then it was leaked all over the place. Nonsense. We all knew this guy was coming out. You're not going to pass up $30+ million in a sport where if you go back to college in Ohio State, you run the risk of potentially getting hurt. You run the risk of potentially having a worse season and your stock dropping. Maybe next year's draft is a stronger class. You were never going to go higher than you were in this draft. You weren't going number one overall, more than likely with Lawrence in the draft. So you're going as high as you possibly can go. I guess the only reason why he might not come out is because he wouldn't want to be a Redskin, but you're not turning down $30 million+. And I expect this guy to be a Washington Redskin. He's a phenomenal talent. He had 16.5 sacks. A lot of people point to those last two games, but the guy's a gifted athlete. He's going to be great. If there's one thing Young has to work on, probably his technique a little bit. If you watch the highlights, most of his sacks just come from him overpowering people and using his athletic ability, and that's something he'll learn with better coaching, and he'll get even more dangerous as a pass rusher. But this guy is that Myles Garrett type athlete. The guy that I think will be a big-time player at the next level. But yeah, this was always nonsense. This was never even in doubt for me. I made a video like an hour after the story came out that he may not be entering the NFL draft. It's the same thing with Matt Rule. Now, I'm not saying Matt Rule's going to go to the NFL. He may stay at Baylor, but the fact that he won't take any interviews, basically is what ESPN said, is nonsense. I've never heard more nonsense in my life. The guy took an interview with the New York Jets last year. If the right job comes along in the right circumstance, he will entertain joining the NFL, just like Chase Young will join the NFL draft. And I think Chase Young will be a great player. And unfortunately, as Giants fans, unless we trade up, because we're not getting him at 4, we're going to have to deal with this guy in a Washington Redskins uniform for the next 10 to 15 years. And it's something to think about in this year's draft. You may want to go out there and get a left tackle for the future. It's why a lot of New York Giants fans are drawn to Andrew Thomas or someone like that, a Wirfs. Got to beef up that offensive line. If it's not this year, it's got to be next year in the draft. They have to spend early picks in the draft and get younger on that offensive line. You look at the Giants' offensive line right now. The only young guy you really got on it that's going to be a part of the future is Hernandez. And even he had a disappointing year last year. A focal point this offseason has to be the O-line because we're going to have to deal with guys like Chase Young. And this guy is no joke. He's going to harass New York Giants quarterbacks for the next 10 years. It'll be a great pick for the Washington Redskins. The Redskins are really getting things going in the right direction over there. Now they will probably pair him with Montez Sweat as Young from Ohio State will officially be going in the draft, and most people expect him to go number 2 overall to the Washington Redskins. I knew this was always going to happen. I laughed at people that even thought that this was a remote possibility that he was going to stay in Ohio State. I remember Matt Leinart. And I don't think he got hurt. I think he just regressed the next year. But if Leinart would have come out, he had a great year. He might have won the Heisman Trophy with USC. What would have probably been a top 3 pick. He decided to stay in, and he dropped in the draft the following year. I think he went like 11th. And that cost him millions of dollars. When you're talking dropping even 7, 8 draft spots in the draft, that's a lot of money, that early in the draft. So Chase Young had to come out. It made no financial sense for him not to, and he will be a very good pro. We'll have to see how it turns out. But as always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.